Hi and welcome back. I'm Michelle, founder of J&B Inspired and host of Nervous System Reset for Caregivers. Welcome to day 8. August 13th is Thursday, 2 days away, and I want as many caregivers as possible in that room with me. If you are here live, pop something in the comments so I know you found me. And if you are on replay, welcome. Everything I share today is just as relevant for you. Every single day this week, I have been talking about hard rooms. The appointment, the meeting, the specialist, the funding review. The room where you had to hold it all together, stay regulated, speak clearly, and advocate fiercely, all while managing everything and everyone else in that space at the same time. And today, I want to talk about something that nobody ever names. What happens after? The room after the room. Because the hard room does not end when you walk out of it. For most caregivers, that is actually when the hardest part begins. I want to share something personal today because I think many of you are going to hear this and feel less alone. When I would leave an appointment, I was already in fight or flight or freeze mode. I'd spent the entire time trying to convey what was not working, trying to be heard about what we needed, trying to be seen as part of the care plan, and more often than not, leaving that room without feeling any of those things had actually happened. And I would get to the car, and I would feel this overwhelming need to release. To yell, to cry, to just let my body do whatever it needed to do, because my whole body felt like it was vibrating from the inside out. And then I still had to get the kids in the car. I still had to do the school pickup and make dinner and manage the afternoon and do bath times and get everyone through to bedtime. And as the day went on, my capacity became smaller and smaller. Sounds became intolerable. I could not have anybody touch me. My sensory needs were overwhelmed by the sheer volume of the mental effort, the emotional regulation, and the energy it had taken just to be in that room, trying to manage a professional's communication style, manage my children's distress if they were unsettled, and make sure I came across as credible, calm, and composed. Because if I was too emotional, I was dismissed. If I was too firm, I was difficult. The window of acceptable was this narrow, and I was performing within it at an enormous cost to my own nervous system. And then at night, once everybody was asleep, I would find myself crying in the shower, trying to release everything that had built up from the moment I walked into that room to the moment I finally had a minute that was mine. That is the room after the room. And it is real, and it is where the body absorbs what the mind had to hold. And here is what the research tells us about exactly that experience. When caregivers are required to suppress their emotional responses, to stay regulated in rooms where the stakes are high and the power is often uneven, that suppression does not disappear. It simply accumulates in the body. Research has found that emotional suppression in caregivers compound, and the physical and health impact of caregiving burdened. Caregivers who suppress their emotional responses while managing these high pressure situations show measurably worse health outcomes over time than those who have had a regulated outlet for that release. Research on the physiological stress response in caregivers confirms that stresses activate the autonomic nervous system and other physiological systems, and the chronic activation of these systems can lead to poor health. With a heightened autonomic nervous system response following an acute stressor, they are indicative of increased physiological stress reactivity, which can lead to increased blood pressure and hardening buildup in the artery walls. In plain language, every time you walked out of a hard room carrying what you could not release in there, your body was absorbing that, not as an emotional experience, as a physical one. And there is research specific to caregivers of loved ones with eating disorders that makes this even more stark. Caregivers showed lower immune markers at almost every assessment point and exhibited lower endocrine and immune responses and greater worsening of mood in response to acute stress than non-caregivers, which suggests that over time, the caregiving role itself begins to change how the body responds to stress at a biological level. Caregivers report poorer health and use medications for physical problems more than non-caregivers, and they are 63% more likely to die over a 5-year period than non-caregivers. This is not a statistic about weakness. This is a statistic about what happens when a body carries sustained pressure, performs emotional regulation under threat, and never gets a clean release. The shower at midnight is not dramatic. It is your nervous system doing the only thing it could do with what you had been holding for the entire day. I want to name something specific here because I think it's one of the most damaging and least spoken about dynamics in caregiving, the credibility trap. In a hard room, caregivers are constantly performing a version of themselves that will be believed, because the moment you show too much emotion, the focus shifts from what your loved one needs to your state of regulation, and that shift costs you. You cannot be too distressed, or you are seen as overwhelmed and unreliable. You cannot be too firm, or you are seen as difficult and combative. You cannot cry, because it will be used as evidence that you are not coping. You cannot push back too hard, because it will be used as evidence that you are the problem. And so you hold it. You hold it all internally, inside. You perform calm you do not feel. You use language that is measured and reasonable and clear. And you walk out of that room with every bit of what you suppressed still sitting in your body, waiting for a moment that is safe enough to let it out. And so, for many caregivers, that moment does not come until everyone else is taken care of, until the house is quiet, until there is finally a slither of space that belongs only to you. This is not a personal failing. This is the direct result of a system that requires caregivers to earn credibility in rooms where they should already be trusted as the authority on the person they love and are advocating for. And here is what matters about this over time. It is not one hard room. It is the compounding of room after room after room, each one requiring the same performance, the same suppression, the same release in private, and the body keeping a running total of it all. As a result of these stresses, caregivers may experience physiological responses and physical illnesses. And research confirms that these effects unfold in a cascading fashion, building on each other across months and years of sustained caregiving. The vibrating body in the car park, the intolerance of sound by the afternoon, the shower at midnight, these are not separate events. They are the same event repeating. They are the body's way of communicating that it is carrying more than it was designed to carry indefinitely, without support, without acknowledgement, and without a safe place to put it down. A large and growing body of evidence reveals that providing care for a chronically sick person can have harmful physical consequences for the caregiver, and that caregiver health is rapidly becoming a public health issue that requires far more focused attention than it's currently receiving. You are not alone in this room after the room. Millions of caregivers around the world know exactly what this feels like, and most of them have never had anyone name it for them. So, what does this have to do with the hard room words kit? Literally everything. Because here is what I learned across years of navigating hard rooms without support. The after room gets smaller when the room itself is less threatening to your nervous system. When you walk in with anchor phrases already in your body, phrases you have practiced, that are yours, that you do not have to find under pressure, the cognitive load in the room reduces. When you have a grounding script that brings you back to center before you walk through the door, your nervous system is not starting from a place of high alert. When you have a prep note that holds the critical information so you do not have to carry it all in your head, there is more capacity available for the room itself. You are not performing calm you do not feel. You are working from a place of genuine, practiced preparation. And when the room is less depleting, the after room is less devastating. You may still need the cry. You may still need the decompression time. That is human and it is real and it does not go away entirely. But the vibrating body, the sensory overwhelm, the midnight shower release, that reduces when the room itself stops costing you everything that you have. That is what Thursday is for. I want to come back to a question that has been sitting across this week's lives because it belongs in this conversation as well. A caregiver asked, what should a mum do when she is in a really hard room? Her child is clearly struggling and she feels like the people meant to help are not listening to her. I have answered parts of this across the week. The escalation rights, the documentation, the language tools, but the part I have not named until today is this. Before you can use any of those tools effectively, your nervous system needs to be regulated enough to access them. And that regulation starts before you walk in. It starts in the car park. It starts with the breath. It starts with the anchor phrases you practiced at home the night before, so that when your mind goes blank in that room, your body already knows what to do next. The tools in the Hard Room Words kit are built specifically for this, for the mum who is already in fight or flight, before the appointment even starts, who is managing her child's distress while also trying to be heard, who needs something that works in the body, not just in the mind. You deserve to walk into that room with more than a hope that you will find the right words. You deserve to walk in prepared. August 13th is Thursday. It's 2 days away. In 60 minutes together, we will build your personal kit. Anchor phrases for when your mind goes blank. Grounding scripts for before you walk in. A prep note that holds what matters most so you are not carrying it all in your head while someone is talking over you. You leave with tools that are yours for every hard room, for every room after the room. It's $49. There is a 14-day replay if you cannot be there live. I understand the world that is caregiving. And I know sometimes you invest in yourself and chaos hits and you just are unable to get there. So there is 14 days where you can come back and you can still access support from me and my team. There are caregivers who have already registered. The link is in the comments. Thursday is 2 days away. Go grab your spot now. And if you've missed this live and you're watching it on replay, I also have the link in the notes under this particular video for you to access. Tomorrow will be day 9 and I will be back again. If today landed, if you recognized yourself in the car park, in the shower, in the afternoon where your capacity had nothing left, drop something in the comments, even just the shower. I read every one. And if you have a question for tomorrow, put it below and I will take the time to answer it for you. And if you are listening to the podcast Nervous System Reset for Caregivers, we are doing the Caregiver Punch Card. It's always in the show notes. Listen to 10 episodes, receive 10 stamps, and email your completed card to support@jmbinspired.com and go into the draw for a caregiver gift. This is our way of saying thank you for showing up for your loved one every day, whether you get acknowledged or you don't because your loved one has no capacity to. We are wanting you to know that we see you, we hear you, and we're here to support you along your journey. One episode at a time. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. Thank you so much for being here today. The room after the room is so real. Your body has been keeping score of every hard room you have ever walked out of, and you keep going anyway. That matters. You matter. The registration link is in the comments, August 13th, which is Thursday, and I cannot wait to be in that room with you. And I see you here today, and I thank you so very much. And for anybody coming tomorrow, I'll see you back here at a similar time to talk about all the things that make caregivers amazing. Have a wonderful night, and thank you for your time.